Hi everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel or my Facebook page. Welcome to Indigo Sky Holistic. My name is Davina and I am an intuitive holistic therapist, Reiki healer, energy healer, psychic and much more. I'm also a mum of 3 daughters, and a lot of what I teach as a holistic support, mentor and therapist and healer revolves around learning to navigate life as a consciously caring mum or dad, if you happen to be a dad. I happen to be a mum, so but a lot of what I teach comes from the root of being a mum, being a heart-centered mum, a conscious creating mum, a mum who's always wished for a depth of awareness of motherhood that transcends a lot of the mainstream ideas. And so a lot of what I teach in regards to holistic care, holistic health, revolves around nurturing ourselves as the mum or the dad, the caregiver, because a lot of this can be transferred also if you have a high care role in another area of your life, as a partner, as a wife or a husband, or as a son or daughter to a parent. A lot of this can be like switched around to whatever the high caring role is that you're in. I have done a lot of the other caring stuff. I worked in care as a healthcare assistant for many years. I worked in various aspects of healthcare over those years as well. I also watched my mum caring for my high needs sister, and watched her care for my grandparents, and watched various other members of my family caring for high need care within family circles. So I've got lots of lived experience as well as my own experience as a mum of 3 for 16 years nearly. I also home educate, so when I talk about being a full-time mum, my girls are in the house all the time, or I'm with them a lot of the time. I'm navigating, now they're teenagers, I'm navigating them getting from A to B safely and them feeling confident and comfortable in their teenage years. My youngest is still only 9, so that's still quite intensive because she's still dependent in ways that the teenagers are not so much. I also run Indigo Sky Holistic. I also am a wife. I have a partner, which sometimes is very fortunate because obviously there's mums or dads who don't have that partner role to help them with navigating raising their young people, and I do consider that fortunate that I do have a also hands-on dad, hands-on partner as the dad, who is also, as he's self-employed, there for a lot of the caregiving roles while I'm here, or vice versa. I can be home while he's out doing his adventures. So, but I'm talking a lot at the moment about the rest, surrender, trust process, the process that I have been launching for a couple of months now. It starts on the equinox. It fully goes into action on the equinox, and there's a lot of information that I feel is so important for those of us who are in high care roles, and those of us with dependents, those of us who feel like we have maybe given of ourselves too much in life over the years in the past, that there is gold in this process that will bring you so much life-changing nourishment that everybody should be doing it. Like, seriously, this is everything that I have learned and explored for the last 6 or 7 years, rolled into and condensed into a beautiful little package of nurturing care, self-awareness, getting to really know yourself so deeply that you can listen to those inner voices so much more with certainty that they're guiding you and leading you, and beginning to develop a self-trust that expands from the here and now and the physical into a little bit of energy, a little bit of spirituality, a little bit of something bigger than the physical being that we are here and now in this life. And I want to talk a little bit about when I'm discussing things like, I don't know, getting up early in the morning and spending a lot of time with myself at that time of the day. And one of the things that I talk about in the rest masterclass, which I created last week, which is all ready to go live on the Equinox in the Rest Surrender Trust portal on my website, I discussed this thing called the rest test, which was carried out a few years ago with 18,000 people from around the world, just talking about what they feel is restful. And one of the things is doing nothing, like actually doing nothing. And if you join up and you see in the rest masterclass, I discuss a lot of these things that people find restful. But this one was quite interesting because in this one, the author of the book that I was reading about the rest test in discusses how some of us are quite nocturnal in nature. So I worked night shifts for years because I considered myself a proper owl. I very much can sleep anywhere, anytime, even now. Literally can switch off and go to sleep. Literally, I've worried about my health in the past around that. But I know it's actually my human design energy type as a manifester means that I can conserve my energy so that I can create energy so that I can be exactly what I need to be in any moment. But I digress a lot, but I digress there. That fundamentally, this idea that we are either owls or larks, and we can get a bit caught up in what that means. And I did for years and years. I literally was like, I am not a morning person. I don't do mornings. I don't do early in the day. I don't do getting up. I don't do waking up. No. And then I worked night shifts and I realised it wasn't so much the morning that was an issue. It was the getting up and getting out of bed that was an issue. And I know that there's research science now that says that certain people are more alert and aware and better focused at either end of the day. And that's cool. But I think even if that is the case, there is a part of life that has us hate mornings. Well, we could go into the root of the word morning if we want to, but that's another time. Because I do think there's a lot of energy put into words that we use in our everyday life that is actually there to bring our energy, our spiritual energy, down a peg or two, down a bit, so we hate it, so that we don't like mornings. We don't like mornings because what else is associated with morning if you just add a letter into that word? Yes. So there's this element of us that begins to hate the early part of the day, the start of the day, the waking up, the getting up. And if you are more inclined to be more active and alert later on in the day, that resentment for the early starts of the day that society has pushed upon us right from the start builds and gradually grows in us, so that we don't like getting up, we don't like the start of the day, we don't like it when it's dark, we don't like how that feels, and we literally perpetuate this energy within ourselves of hating getting up, hating the start of the day, resenting anything that wakes us up that isn't like just like naturally going, oh, on the days where I can just get up and get on with the day. You know, we hate the alarm clock, we hate it when the baby wakes up, we hate it when the kids get out of bed and start jumping on the bed and putting the TV on loud or playing music loud or whatever. We begin to hate that sort of thing. Husbands opening curtains apparently is a thing. Not in my house, because It'd be me opening the curtains. We don't close curtains in my house. So yeah, these energies that we give to all of these parts of the day, we create this then so that when there's stages of our life where we might wake up more. So one of the first things that comes to mind for me is pregnancy. I think there might have been times earlier on in my life where I had was inclined to wake up early. I know that there were times while I was living at home, while I was living with my mum and dad, where when the seasons change and the mornings start getting lighter, when the sun starts rising earlier, I'd wake up, the birds would wake me up. We lived in a house with a lovely garden and the birds would wake me up. My dad now lives where the seagulls wake you up at 3 a.m. I think there's a reason for that, but again, digress. Pregnancy is the first time I remember consistently waking up way too early, while it was still dark, hating it, really not enjoying it, and it became a pattern that I fed myself, that I fed on top of the other stories about waking up and early. It's too early. I don't like waking up. I don't like the start of the day. I can't function without my coffee. Obviously, when I was pregnant, there was a lot less coffee consumption going on, and I'd be like, oh, it was just all too much. And they're stories we then keep feeding ourselves about this part of this time of our life of waking up, getting up, having some time and some space to just come round and ease ourselves into the day nicely. So when I talk about all these times now where I'm awake in the early hours of the morning, these have been parts of my journey through the last 6 or 7 years where I've learned to navigate when my body wakes up, whatever it is that wakes me up, whether it's a stress, whether it's a worry or an anxiety, whether it's the daylight, whether it's a noise, whether it's the bloody cat jumping on the bed, scratching my bed, whether it was one of the girls coming in to wake me up, and my youngest was about 2 or 3 when I started developing these self-care practices, and when I started beginning to go inward and look at my own life and what I needed to process from it that helped me to understand where things were going wrong, or where I felt things were going wrong, where I was struggling, and where there were trials and tribulations going on at the time. So I did. She was only 2 or 3 at the time, and there was a lot of learning came from that. But fundamentally, and one of the basic things we will learn right at the start of the rest element of the rest surrender trust process is beginning to lean into rest. And that really does require a step into changing our mindset. And a lot of life becomes much easier when we begin to switch our thoughts into how is this serving me rather than how is this wrong. When we stop complaining about waking up early, the birds singing, the seagulls squawking, the cat scratching the bed, and we stop making those complaints and instead begin to look for the benefit. So for me, fundamentally, that time of the day became a time for me to be with myself. Now, I was very fortunate really that my littlest didn't wake up when I woke up, but initially she did stir. She was in bed next to me. We might have actually been in her bed at the time. She was in bed next to me. if I moved and got up, she would wake up, and at 5 a.m, 6 a.m, even 7 a.m, I might have started this like at 7 originally. I couldn't move too far because she would wake up, and if she woke up, then my day started. Anyone who's a mum who's got little ones, if you're bed sharing, co-sleeping, whatever, you'll know that oftentimes our waking up wakes them up. It's part of the connection process, the energetic connection that mums have with their offspring. So initially I had to find practices that didn't require me to physically get out of bed and do something while she could carry on sleeping, but I could take care of my needs. And so I began with meditations, YouTube meditations initially, and then I would find ways to download things that I could then have on my phone, because my phone, we don't have the internet on overnight. So I would start with meditations, audio recordings of visualizations. And one trick, if you're not overly bothered about quality of things, if you want to have, I've done this often with videos that I would like to have to listen to as meditations or visualizations, is audio recording them on my phone. From my laptop, the quality's not great. There's other means sometimes to get things if you require them. I've also had like a lot of things that I've groups, memberships, things that I've been part of where I've had access to downloadable meditations and downloadable content, and that's what I try and aim for on my own content, my own platform, my own website, is to have downloadable content so that you can download and have things so that you don't have to go online. Because for me, and I know for a lot of people, the action of having to go online would distract me. You can. I've gone a long way to make sure my phone's on Do Not Disturb, so that when I do go online, I don't get bombarded with messages from people, my emails to check, because any of that can distract you from that calming place of, I want to be with myself in this moment to care for my needs. Priority, caring for my needs, not letting the world get to us the minute we open our eyes. And that's going to be a big part of the rest part of the process, is stepping out of this society norm that we found ourselves in, where we are expected to be online all the time, we're expected to be available all the time. Even in a 9-to-5 job these days, people are expected to be available in their inbox 24/7, and that is not natural, that is not normal, and that is not conducive to a calm and nurtured life. And if you're a mum, you're on call 24/7 as it is anyway. Like, even while I'm here now, my girls will often, even when they know, like, look, I have a client between X time and Y time, please don't call me. You can almost guarantee I turn my phone on and there's like 3 messages from somebody going, what are you doing? How are you? Why are you not answering? It was like, did you not get the message where I said I have somebody in at this time? So don't think that because I say this is how best to care for our needs, this is how we care for our own needs first, that there isn't still like things that my girls, who've grown up since they were about 6 and 8 years old, 2, 6 and 8, with my boundary setting, with my saying like, this is my time, or this is the time that I have for. Initially it was, I was working, I had my business, I would have the set times where I'm working here now, even though I was at home. Ask your dad if you need anything, because he's here and this is his time to be the one on duty. And I'm like, and they'd still manage to come and ask for my attention. So a lot of it is about learning that it's okay for you as a mum to say no. It's okay to say no. It's okay, and it teaches them as well to stand in their power So that for me, one of the greatest things that I watched my mum do was give herself away to all the people who demanded of her time, so that it did impact her physical health as she aged. You could see where she felt like she'd been put on for her whole life by this, that, and the other person in her life. And for me, I think it helps the next generation, it helps our young people to see that actually our needs have to come first, even if we are in a high caring role, because it's essential. Self-care, self-love, self-compassion are all essential to the nurturing of those other things and the caring for of those other things that we have to do. So supporting you and guiding you through this process of rest is that it's the reason why it's the first thing, even though it was actually the last thing that I navigated on my own journey. Because if we don't get the rest element fine-tuned so that we can come into a state of rest in any given moment, everything else is so much harder. Like in the video, which I will link somewhere either down there or in a card, where I first talked about this, like I went through this process in reverse order. It was challenging. I was getting these constant messages from spirit, from source, from my guides to trust. But my body, my nervous system was still so overwhelmed. It was still so upside down and inside out and back to front. I was still so triggered by life constantly throwing stuff at me that I just couldn't navigate. But it made the trust really hard. But that's why I was shown it in reverse order, so that I could then create something that anyone who feels overwhelmed by life can step into the right way round, so that you can learn to rest your nervous system and come into rest, so that you can surrender to the guidance of your intuition and your inner wisdom and your inner knowings, and learn to trust those parts of yourself which are always guiding you to the correct answer. And it's a process, and it takes time, and I don't want it to take anyone else 6 or 7 years to get there, because believe me that on this side of it, on this side of developing the ability to bring yourself into rest, your nervous system into rest at any moment, even when there is complete chaos going on around you, even when everybody's screaming and shouting and yelling at each other, and you need to know where your center is, that you can bring yourself to that, and to be able to then listen to the wisdom that's right there inside of you whilst you're in that chaos. That is gold, and that is gold that anyone in a high care environment, a high care role, a mum, a dad, a caregiver, somebody in like healing circles. A lot of my clients are healers and therapists and doctors, and they are professionals who are always giving their time away to other people who are in need. And we need to be able to listen to our inner wisdom and guidance, and then we need to be able to trust the answers, and that takes time, and that can only come when our nervous system has been rested and recalibrated, and we've got the tools to help us to do that. And then we can find ways from there to launch ourselves into a life where we trust the wisdom that we're given intuitively. We trust that the next right thing will come about, and that if some horrible, tragic or challenging event happens in our lives, we've learned to trust that something greater is out there for us. And yeah, there is a spiritual element to this process, because It's about connecting into those non-physical parts of ourselves that are always guiding us, because everything that happens to us, there's an answer for from something greater than this physical reality and this time and space that we're in right now. So come and join me. We start on the Equinox. All the Telegram group is open, and the portal, there is some content already on my website. There's a restful meditation there. There are some amazing self-care tips on there. I think I'll add my other self-care tips to give you lots of options and choice for the coming 6 months, so that there's always an option for you to bring yourself into a mindful, restful state as well. And come and join me. And there is still space for at least one-to-one mentoring position through it. So if you want to come and get 6 months of one-to-one support and mentoring through WhatsApp or Telegram is easier since we're already on Telegram, but I'm happy to do WhatsApp or Telegram. Then you can also jump into the last space of that's available. And in the meantime, just take a moment right now to close your eyes, take a breath, and feel the difference. If you really breathe into your belly, the difference of your whole body when you give yourself even just one moment to rest your nervous system. Feel the difference that brings for your whole body. And if you can do that more and more throughout the day, give yourself one moment of complete body rest, it builds up, it increases, and it's the start of something really incredible for your whole well-being, your whole health, your whole body, mind and soul. So I look forward to seeing you in Rest, Surrender, Trust, and I will be here again with something else very soon. Bye.